Ooh, another year, another Q&A. Time to sift through all of these questions of yours and answer as many as I can. What gave you the idea to do those Spongebob ripoff videos? Yeah, I kind of just made them during, like, you know, I was working around the clock and just like, you know, I just could slack off and just start making these videos for funsies. And then now for some reason it's turned into a whole damn story. Do you have a release date for ATC or an estimate? No, I do have an estimate, but it's gonna be internal. I'm not gonna like publicly state it. What was your favorite level to make for ATC? Or at least playtest the fun out of? I don't know actually. Is Strange Terror from the Deep a complicated story or is it a simple story? It's pretty simple. There isn't really that much to it. I mean, yeah, there's lore, so you kind of have to, I guess, pick and look through, you know, some of the bits or whatever, but I haven't really wrote that much lore into Strange Terror from the Deep yet, but probably when I do the update, I'll add a bunch more lore that makes, you know, things more clear. What inspired you to become a game developer? I don't know, being born. I always wanted to be a game developer for a really long time. There was never really a time that I felt inspired. What would happen if you never made ATC? I probably would have made a bunch of shitty games, like before. Just really short shit, like games in 1 month. You know, like I was doing before. Not sure. Will you continue to, and would you... Oh, fuck, I can't read. Will you continue to make parody games after ATC, or you make your own games like Dave.exe, or both? I'm probably gonna be done with parody games. I know, I mean, I'll definitely continue making original games like Dave.exe and all that, like more Patreon exclusive, more games on itch.io and GameJolt, because I know I still want to release Shopping Nightmare 2, the Trilogy Bundle 2, and others. But parody games, I might not make anymore, just because I don't really want to attract that audience that much these days. I feel like it's just kind of getting old. I mean, I may or may not make Scooby Horror Arcade one day, but, you know, that's not really something I want to work on at the moment. We release Sunky. No, I probably won't work on Sunky. I mean, I might make a third Unky game in the future, but I don't know if it'll be Sunky. Who knows? Who drew your character? Padre. He's my artist. He does a lot of the art for my games and stuff like that. Poor Padre doesn't get enough credit these days. People don't seem to remember him. The poor bastard. What made you want to make Around the Clock Bikini Bottom? Wanting to make, I guess, a bigger SpongeBob game, and I mean, it started off as this, like, I mean, it always had the concept of 16 levels, 4 levels per character, but, it changed vastly in its story and everything. Like, originally it was going to be based off the AM games, but then it turned into its own story that had nothing to do with the AM games. What is the next game you're going to update after ATC is released? Strange Terror from the Deep. I mean, I probably won't work on that after Around the Clock. I'm probably going to work on Shopping Nightmare 2, release that, maybe a new patron game, the Trilogy Bundle 2 I also need to work on. After that, I'll probably work on the Strange Terror from the Deep update. I'm not 100% sure, but I do want to get that shit done this year, if I can anyway. Are you happy with Around the Clock and Dave.exe where they are now? Yeah, I'm actually pretty content with them. I always bitch about Around the Clock and stuff, but I personally do like how the games turned out. I'm not sure if it's gonna be, you know, great. I would like to hope so, though. Will Dooming the Roomie be available on GameJolt and itch.io someday? Most likely not. I want to keep that as a Patreon exclusive. That way, you know, it's more of an incentive for people to subscribe to Patreon. How long does it take you to make a game? It depends on the size of the game. If it's like Around the Clock, 2 years, obviously, or more, it could take longer. If it's a short game, it'll probably take like a week to a month. Depends on how copy-pasty it is, or if it's completely original. Like Dooming the Roomie took, I think, a couple weeks, and that was adding like a lot. I was adding a lot of new mechanics for that game, like the whole sound system, the random generation, shit like that. So I don't know. It just depends on how small the game is. It may take a week, a month, or a year, 2 years. Who knows? How long have you been a developer for? Well, 8 years now. I was about to say 7, but you know, we're in 2021. What's your favorite Strange Terror game? I don't know. I liked both. Like, just as much. Like, I loved Beyond the Stars, what I did with that one. And then I also liked Strange Terror from the Deep because, you know, I added a bunch of shit to it. But if we're talking style, I feel like Beyond the Stars, honestly, was better. I feel like From the Deep, I don't know why, I just feel like I felt like Strange Share from the Deep was more generic in design, at least the map design. I tried remedying that as much as I could in the new update, because I did work a bit on that, but you know, it's pretty much just, I pretty much will just say Beyond the Stars is probably my favorite. Where'd you come up with the Edgy Dave? A funny story about that, me and Padre were browsing through YouTube one day and came across this one, meme video about me or something, and it had this character that looked like an edgy version of me. And we're just like, you know what, why don't we just create a character that looks kind of like this and just call him Edgy Dave, and we're just like, perfect. So, whoever made that video, thank you, because Edgy Dave probably wouldn't have come to existence without it. Were you ever thinking of making a Thomas the Train horror game? Actually, yeah, I kind of did at one point, but I just scrapped the concept really quickly, so I wasn't really that interested. Will Edgy Padre ever appear or be shown? Probably. Will you make a Rick and Morty indie horror game? I was going to. I actually worked on the main menu for it and like a little bit, I think, of like the first level. But I scrapped it quickly because I'm not sure about releasing a parody game or fan game about a new series. Probably not making any more parody games though, so you know, that's not gonna happen. If you had a choice, put one of the killers from Dead by Daylight, the non-licensed ones, into Dave.exe, which would you choose? Probably Trapper. Or Spirit maybe, because I do like, you know, Trapper's abilities and shit, placing traps at the same time that can easily be added to any killer. It doesn't even have to be Trapper. And then Spirit, you know, obviously Abducted is kind of like the Spirit, so I mean I could add that character into Dave.exe, but you know, yeah, I don't even fucking know what I'm talking about. I kind of just swerved off that question. How many abandoned / unfinished games that you didn't finish? A bunch, I guess. I mean, I showed most of them. There are still a couple that I haven't, I think, really shown. I'm not sure. What is your favorite unfinished game of yours? I don't know. I don't really have a favorite. Did you ever plan on making an Invader Zim horror game in the past? No, but Jay hasn't made his Invader Zim horror game like he was going to. You dumb bitch. That was supposed to be the third parody game, but now you're making one about Barney or some shit. How dare you, bitch. I don't know if I'm gonna cut that out, but I'll see. Which unfinished game of yours do you hate the most? Carnivorous Chickens. I never want to see that game ever again. What caused you to become interested in game development and why horror? I really like horror, I guess. I've never really been interested in other genres, to be honest. Like, I could probably make something that's like a mix of horror and a different genre, like action or, you know, shit like that, but I mostly enjoy making survival horror for the most part. It's changed from Beyond the Stars. What happened to Coach? I don't fucking know. What was your favorite game you made so far? I guess I could say like Around the Clock, even though it isn't out yet, just because I feel pretty happy with how it's turned out. Like, you know, we're still doing a lot of the polishing and bug fixing. You know that polishing part of the roadmap, how it sounded like it was gonna take, you know, a short while? Yeah, turns out the list just doubled, because all of a sudden I remembered a shit ton of stuff I was supposed to add to it. To be fair, I wasn't actually going to add it all to the game, I kind of scrapped it, but at the same time I feel like I want to add it in at this point. I don't know, we'll see. I don't know how long the polishing phase is gonna take. Maybe it'll take a couple weeks, who knows? I don't know, I'm not really sure. When did you realize that making video games was gonna be a forever thing? I mean, I didn't really realize that. I'm kind of just going with it. Who knows if this will last forever? I'm hoping so, though. What's your reaction to people constantly bugging you with game requests for the first time? I don't know. I think I kind of just ignored them for the most part. Or I just hid them from the channel when they got spammy. I do remember kind of going off on one a little bit, just being pissed off, like, okay, cool it with the requests. But, you know, I think I kind of just removed that video or whatever, because it's like, I feel bad. Like, I don't want to tell people to stop requesting games. You know, do what you want to do. But, you know, obviously if you get spammy, I'll probably, like, ignore, like, those kinds of requests and shit. Question, who is Mr. Crusty? I don't know. He's Mr. Krabs, but not Mr. Krabs. Q&A question, am I cool? Yes, you are. Do you have any games you're unable to complete or haven't shown to the public yet? If yes, then can I see them? I mean, I've shown pretty much all of them. Like all the abandoned games. I don't know, there's probably a few I haven't shown, I'm not 100% sure. I need to like sift through the abandoned folder. Will Spongy Bucko ever have a conclusion? Yes, it will have a conclusion. I have the whole story like built up in my head, but I just haven't, you know, gotten around to making the next video yet. Why am I so cool? I don't know, man. It's crazy. What are your thoughts on killing Scooby? Man, dude, it wasn't my fault. I didn't mean to kill Scooby. I just dropped the tree on him. It wasn't intentional or anything. I'm pretty sure. How much content will be in Dave.exe? It's probably gonna be a full-fledged game, like around the clock. That's why I'm not looking forward to working on that anytime soon. I'll probably start working on Dave.exe once I get everything done on my roadmap of, you know, finishing Shopping Hour 2. The Trilogy Bundle, the Strange Tale from the Deep update, a couple Patreon games. Once I get all that shit done, I'll probably start working on Dave.exe again, and that'll be a pretty big-ass game. It'll be on Itch.io and Game Jolt, of course. Don't know the price yet, but we'll see at that point when the time comes. Do you have any secret games you're working on you don't want us to know? Not really. I mean, I was working on a Patreon game, but I'll probably work on that after Around the Clock. What are some things you would change about your original 3 Spongebob games? I mean, if I could go back to update them, which I could if I wanted to, I just don't want to do it. I'd probably give all the characters like animations and, you know, maybe polish the environments and shit, make the gameplay more enjoyable. I mean, obviously 3 of the Krusty Krab, I would never touch the gameplay for that. That one's perfect. 16 in the Chump Bucket, I'm kind of satisfied with. I feel like that one did its job well enough. Floater Cemetery needs a lot of work. I honestly would like to go back to it at some point and update the AI and stuff, but, you know, I don't think I'm gonna do that anytime soon. What's your favorite ATC level? Honestly, I'm not sure. Probably Goo Lagoon. Will you make any more developer commentaries? I will, at some point. I'm just not really in the mood to make them, because I have to be like on a very specific mood to be able to talk to myself for like 10 minutes. I'm not a very good Let's Player, let's be real. Why does Edgy Days somehow look like Photoshop Flowey from Undertale? That's the first time I've ever heard someone think you look like a Photoshop Flowey. Mostly people say SMTV from Shopping Hour 2 looks like Flowey, but no, neither of them are inspired by Flowey. They're both their own thing. How many episodes are going to be in the Spongy Bucko series? I don't know, probably a bunch. I don't really have an exact number. We do more cartoon horror games. I mean, if we're talking style, I'll always make horror games that have, you know, a cartoony style. But if we're talking horror games based off cartoons or parody games, probably not anymore. Scooby Horror Arcade, maybe. I'll work on that someday, who knows. I'm not really in the mood to be making any more parody games these days. How'd you adapt to the changes in Around the Clock's development? How'd it feel to go from a small idea to a full game you've worked on for 2 years? I mean, I kind of just went with it. I never really adapted or felt like, you know, ooh, you know, this is getting big. Because the game was always going to be big. I kind of knew that. But I didn't expect the game to take this long. I thought it was going to be done in 2019 of November, and boy, was I wrong about that. Shit. These levels became much more, I guess, more complicated to work on and more dense than I thought. So I guess that's why it took 2 years. Because I feel like the game probably would have been done in 2020 if I didn't, you know, move on to other games for like a short while. Because, I mean, to be fair, I had to make Patreon games and stuff to continue making money on Patreon and also to keep my sanity in check. So I don't really mind that the game's taken this long. I mean, like, we're already in the beginning of January of 2021. The game will probably be done, like, soon. I don't want to say exact date. I need to be careful about that because I don't want people to be like, yeah, it's going to release the game. And what game are you planning on developing after you finish Around the Clock? Shopping Hour 2. I gotta finish that game. It's like 70% done. I might as well complete it when I finish Around the Clock. Will you make a 3rd Strange Terror game around 2024 or 2026? I don't want to give an exact date for the 3rd Strange Terror game. It's probably going to be like Half-Life 3, where it just never comes out until like a very long time. I don't really know. I will make a 3rd one, probably, but I don't know when. Noticed you've been using a new style of character modeling lately, specifically with heads. Was it bittersweet to leave your old style behind after using it for such a large chunk of your career? I didn't mind, actually. Like, it's still like the same style, but more smoothed out, I guess. And I kind of like it, actually. It's a lot better than, you know, the low poly style from before, because that style felt a little outdated. And I feel like now my models are definitely starting to improve. How many playable characters are going to be in around the clock? Just 4. You know, SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, and Mr. Krabs. We'll be adding more monsters to Dave.exe. Yeah, when I start working on the full game, there's going to be a shit ton of monsters, maps, story, cosmetics, bunch of stuff. What goes into your custom character designs with characters like Fish Freak or Tunky? Do you plan on character story details first or their gameplay mechanics? I think I usually just model the character first, just off the top of my head. I'll just make whatever. And then I'll start planning the gameplay mechanics and the story. I guess the story after. Will Round the Clock Bikini Bottom win Game of the Year? I wish. Probably not, though. Also, how did Jelly and Overlord reform himself? I guess you'd have to ask Padre that, because he's the one who kind of wrote the story. I don't really remember what he said. It's early in the morning. I don't really know how he reformed himself. There's a reason behind it, I just don't remember. Around the Clock have a heavy metal soundtrack in some of the levels. I don't think so, no. What's the most random horror game you've made so far? Probably Tunky. I feel like that's like the most random one I've released as far as I'm aware. What inspired you to become a game dev? What tips can you give to help new people wanting to get into it but are scared to do so? Also, what is the one game you didn't enjoy making and what is one game you did enjoy making? I didn't really get inspired to become a game dev. I kind of just wanted to be a game dev for like the longest time as far as I can remember. And what tips can I give to help new people want to become a game dev? Start small. Don't ever start with a big project. I've done that before and it did not go well. I guess you could have like a schedule in mind. That's also helped a lot. I mean, I feel like the whole schedule thing is kind of falling apart at this point, at least with Around the Clock's development, but having a schedule definitely helps a lot when it comes to making shit. Don't be, I guess, too ambitious with a project, because then once you start having all this shit that you gotta do on a list, it starts to become overwhelming for you, and then you kind of lose interest in the project, and then it just falls apart. Kind of make your first games as you go. Don't really plan too much, because once you plan too much, that's when it starts to become more of a chore than anything. At least that's kind of the deal with me. It's all psychological. I don't really know. But what's the one game I didn't enjoy making? If we're talking finished, I would say, actually, no. All the finished games I've made, I kind of did enjoy making them. Even Around the Clock, as much as it's annoying to work on, and I don't enjoy making it sometimes. There are some, I guess, good times during development that I can't say I didn't enjoy it. It is, I guess it was a fun game to work on, to be honest. Is Dave Daddy Wave gonna be a cosmetic in Dave.exe? Unfortunately, yes, Padre drew the PDN and I gotta add it into the game when I start working on it full time. Why does Edgy Dave hate you so much? What did you do to him? Existing. Edgy Dave does not like Dave just for his existence. Will Around the Clock have multiple endings? No, it's just gonna have one ending. Why are you called Dave Microwave? I think I answered this before. Someone called me Dave Microwave once, and then I kind of just stuck with it. My old names used to be like random shit like the Tunamator or whatever, and then I kind of felt like that name was shit, and then Dave Microwave kind of just stuck with me. If you could change any of your games, which one would you change and why? I feel like a game that I would change is always gonna be Scooby Horror Remastered, because I'm just never satisfied with it. Even the new update, I'm still not satisfied with it. I'm not gonna update it probably, but like, I don't know why that one game, I just can't seem to nail what I want it to be. Like, I tried with this new remaster of the remaster to make it like the way I wanted it to be, but when I released it, I'm like, you know what? This still isn't exactly how I wanted it to be in my head, and I feel like that game is just never going to be finished in the way that I want it to be finished. But, I mean, the game's done. I'm not going to update anymore probably, but if I do Scooby Horror Arcade, I'm gonna make sure that I make the whole Ghost Diver Scooby-Doo shit like the way I want it to be. Whereas Around the Clock at Bikini Bottom, I'm still waiting. I don't know. There is no release date for it. Stop asking. Which killer from DVD do you hate the most? Death Slinger. You can go to hell. And Pyramid Head as well. Do you have any types of music that you listen to? I guess lo-fi, shit like that. I don't really know. I don't really have a specific genre that I listen to. It depends on the mood. If it's like I'm working on shit and I'm like in an adrenaline rush, I'll probably listen to adrenaline pumping music to get shit done faster. But if I'm just kind of chilling, I'll probably listen to just lo-fi or something. Do you play TF2? I did back in the day, not really anymore. Hey, howdy! Any other hobbies? Not really. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? A lot of wood. That was the last question. What a question to end this Q&A with. Okay. Well, that's the end of that, I guess. My throat is dying. This went on for 30 minutes. Holy shit. I'm not gonna have a fun time compiling this.